The wide trio close formation is one of the best formations in all of Madden 26. It's used by the best passers in the world. And we're going to be breaking it down right here. Now, real quick, as far as like how you want to kind of set up the formation and all of that, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be putting our two like fast receivers here on the right side. So I got Worthy and Brown over here. We're going to put our best kind of isolation possession receiver on the left hand side here. And then as far as like audibles for this formation, generally speaking, you're only going to be running a couple of plays from it, to be honest. You're pretty much only going to be running this play motion PA cross switch. You might run a little bit of smash return, but in general, you only really need two pass plays. There's obviously a lot more stuff you could do with this formation. You could run some of the empty stuff. This play flood is a really good quick snap play. You only need to make one adjustment, snap the ball. They have some boomerang motions that are kind of fun. But at the core, if you're just going to pass the ball with consistency every single play, you need to be basically basing out of this motion PA cross switch play. This play is unbelievably effective in this game. What I would do in terms of that is I would just basically use runs around that. The 0-1 trap is really good. I got the outside zone in here. You don't have to have that. If you want to put another passing play in there, you certainly can. And then in general, typically how you want to run this formation is you would want to audible into this formation from like a bunch X nasty or doubles type of set. So I'll show you kind of what that would look like. So let's say I come out in bunch X nasty. When I audible over to Y off trio close, you're going to see it's a really smooth audible, and then I can go ahead and set my combos up and run however I want to run it. So that's kind of my general little tip here for how to run the offense, how to use it the best you can is to kind of audible into it from other formations. One thing I want to make sure that I cover here is also that you do want to go ahead and you want to go through and make sure that your pass protection and your coach adjustments, you want this automatically set to either base or empty. One of those two. Some people prefer base, some people prefer empty. Empty is a little bit better against stunts, in my opinion. So I'm going to go ahead and put empty on. And then you'll see that when I audible to this, then I don't have that same automatic slide protection that I was getting out of that play action play. You see the play just sets up as is. One other big tip I wanted to break down here is you guys do know that we do have the play motion mesh rail in here. The reason this play is so good is because you have play action blocking. Play action blocking will block the majority of blitzes in this game. And what you can do with this is you can actually just stem up this in route. And as you see, I'm able to turn this in route into basically a streak. I can control the depth of it. So if I stem it all the way up, then I essentially recreated motion mesh rail, but I'm able to do that while still having the play action pass protection. So I think that's a super, super big deal in terms of this offense. If you enjoy this breakdown and you want to get better at Madden, make sure that you join our school community. It's only $10. It's going to get you access to all of my offensive and defensive ebooks for Madden and for college football. Literally everything that I know about Madden or college football is put into the site. So if you're looking to take your game to the next level, you can sign up at the link in the description below. For the first setup of the play motion PA cross switch, I'm going to be going over a play that's really good against both man and zone coverage. Now, I want to first start out by showing this play against a cover two, as it's a really, really good threat to any kind of cover two defense in this game. So the way that we're going to set this up is we are going to streak our slot receiver. We're going to slot fade our outside little bunched up receiver right here. We're going to post, oops, I did not mean to snap the ball. We're going to post our tight end, and we'll show you that a little bit quicker this time. And again, I want to show it against cover two. So we're going to slot fade, streak, and post. And then on the right-hand side here, we're going to wheel the running back. And then we're going to run a little return route like this. So this is what the play looks like. Now, our read progression on this play is we are going to be looking at our streak first. We're going to look at our slot fade second. And then we're going to look to that tight end post return route as kind of a middle of the field combination. And then we have the running back on the wheel as kind of our late in the play read. So as far as how this play works against cover two, what essentially is going to happen is there's going to be a little window where you can actually throw this slot fade to the sideline against cover two, as you can see right there. That's a really effective way to be able to attack cover two. And the cool part about it is it's going to be able to attack pretty much every type of cover two. So for example, if they are soft squatting on the outside, you're going to see here that because we put this running back on this wheel, it's going to essentially pull that soft squat defender. And as you see, there's this little void, where you can hit that slot fade up the sideline. Another thing that happens a lot on this play, because we're putting this tight end on a post and we have a return route, we're going to have a lot of opportunity to attack kind of the middle area of the field. And this can put that mid-read defender in kind of a significant amount of conflict. And you're either going to be able to throw your seam streak up top, or you're going to be able to just simply check it down to your return route. So let's say that they switch stick over to the right side to take away the cover two beating aspect of this play. Then you're just going to progress to that high-low in the middle of the field. And a lot of times, you're going to be able to hit that little return route right there. So really, really nice read, because that's going to force them to have to, do different things with their coverage adjustments and basically bring those yellow zones in an underneath type of alignment or position. And then when they bring those yellow zones down, or if they kind of sit there with their user, then you're going to be able to kind of hit this post right before he gets to the safeties, and the catch and traffics are crazy in this game. Now, if they are in something that's not a cover two, or they just play really good switch stick defense, one of the best parts about this play is this running back wheel will be a great read late in the play. So again, we're looking to that right side. We're going to look at that seam streak and that slot fade. And then we also have that running back. As you see, the slot fade and the seam streak are both going to clear out those deep zones for the ability for us to be able to hit that route underneath. Now, as far as man coverage goes, one of the best things about this play is you actually have kind of some different ways in which you can attack man coverage while still being really, really effective against your zone coverage. So the first thing that we can do against man coverage is we can hit this tight end post. As you'll see here, this tight end post, really good route to hit against man coverage. Show that to you one more time here, and then we'll talk about some of the other routes on this play. Shout out to Trevor Lawrence for throwing the ball into the third row, but we'll see if we can actually complete it this time. Again, your reads here, you're kind of looking at those streaks on the right side. If they're isolated, a lot of times one of those guys can get open, and then you see there that tight end post normally can get open. I don't know why it didn't get open right there. We'll show it one more time here. And go ahead and put those man kind of cover zero style, which is what you're going to see the most right now. You're not going to see a ton of cover two man this year. I think you're going to see a lot more cover zero. But basically, as you see, he gets that kind of in that separation there. Obviously, he's got to catch the ball, right? You can possession catch that or whatever. But Derwin kind of went crazy, so he got universal, I think, activated. So anyways, going to go through the rest of the routes. So the rest of the routes on this play, in terms of their man-to-man beating capabilities, let's say they go user that tight end, then what you're going to be able to do here is you're going to be able to have that backside return route against man coverage. This play primarily is called for us to be able to attack zone coverage, but it certainly can do a decent job against man. Another coverage that I forgot to talk about a little bit is this idea of a cover three cloud type of coverage. So if they are in, kind of that cover three cloud type of deal where they're using an outside third on that safety position, then you're going to see here that he's going to very clearly go to the outside. And what that does is it leaves this seam streak open for a one-play touchdown when they start to kind of over adjust there. So what this really forces them to do is they kind of have to play cover three or cover four to the right side of the field, which then opens up that running back streak, and it opens up all kind of other combinations that we can do from the Y-off trio close. The next combo that I like out of the Y-off trio close motion PA cross switch play is this combination right here. Now, the beauty of this play is we're going to slot fade this outside or the solo receiver. We're going to drag the tight end, cross to the slot receiver, return route that outside bunch receiver. You might ask, why are you calling this instead of smash return? The main reason why is because play action blocking is the best blocking that you can possibly get in this game. You could do this exact same combination from the play smash return, have a little bit better of a return route, but this is kind of unique to the play action aspect of the offense. And then we're going to also flat our running back. So the way that we're going to read this play is we're going to take a kind of a peek here on this left side of the slot fade. I'm going to show you a scenario where that might be available to you. We're then going to take a look at that quick read to that tight end drag. We want to be able to hit that tight end drag both in the middle of the field if the yellow zones are not on 5, or to the flat if they're not playing a hard flat. So this is going to force them to have a shallow yellow zone and a hard flat on the field. Then we're going to go to our high read on this play, which is our crosser. And the beauty of that crosser is if those yellow zones kind of snap down on the tight end, then the crosser is going to be able to kind of get open on that left side seam and left sideline. And then on the back side, we're going to take a look at this return route and flat combination, kind of a two-man game, and I'll show you kind of how that's going to play out. So if our opponent is running any kind of like cover 4 or anything like that, this is going to be really good against that type of defense. Pretty much any zone. That's also really good against man. I'll show it against man as well. But basically, look at that slot fade. We see they bail back. If they give us that quick throw to the tight end, we want to be able to take that. And what that's going to do by just hitting that quick tight end route is now all of a sudden they have to shade down in their cover 4. And so because they have to shade down in their cover 4 here, then what you're going to see is that those yellows are going to snap down on the tight end route. But now I can hit this crosser kind of in this little soft spot of the zone. I need to get a little bit better of a throw from Trevor Lawrence there, but we'll show this one more time, and then we'll talk about the rest of the routes on the play. But this crosser is really good. It's a really good read. It's really your main read on the play, and you see that, you know, you can throw this to the sideline. You could throw it all the way to the sideline, or you could throw it in the middle of the field. It kind of just depends a little bit on what they're doing. For example, if they're cover 3 clouding you like this or something like that, then your crosser is going to get open a little bit earlier. If it's a true cover 4, I kind of like to throw this on the sideline a little bit more. But you're going to see here, you know, kind of once he kind of cuts in front of this guy. All right, Trevor Lawrence just cannot make a throw, but we will see if we can. We'll see if we can actually hit it here, as we've had it open like 3 straight times. We've not been able to make the throw. Just gotta have to get perfect accuracy. That's just what it comes down to. Yeah, there we go. We hit the one where we're getting a throw at a sack. Awesome. So anyway, as you see, like that route is really, really good. Now, here is something that people will do. This is actually a real adjustment that you will see from time to time when people play Bunch X Nasty. They will do something like this, where they're going to double flat on this left side. They might leave a quarter here. They might even put this guy on a middle third. The middle third is going to be more obvious, so I'm going to do it on a quarter. But this is why the slot fade is such a key hot route this year, and it's such an important route, because if they do that outside quarter adjustment, you're just going to see that that slot fade is going to clear over the top of that, and you know you're going to basically be able to one play that. So it takes away their capability to kind of get over adjusty with their defensive schematics. So that is how I like to read that play. And then basically what that's going to do is typically the user is going to probably switch stick to this player right here. And then if they're sending 4, then there's going to be this little void that you're going to be able to hit this backside return. So the running back will pull this flat route, and then they're going to use with a crosser. And then late in this play, you're going to be able to hit this backside return route for easy yardage. This also is going to be a really, really nice play for you. Really, regardless of the type of man coverage that you play, you're going to have a lot of answers against man coverage. First and foremost, one of the easiest things you're going to have is this quick tight end drag is really hard to guard in man coverage this year, especially out of a combination and alignment like what we're showing you here out of the Y-off trio close. And then what they're going to start to do for that is they'll put a little flat over there. And so when they put the flat over there to stop the tight end route, now they're going to struggle to stop either your slot fade. Your slot fade will sometimes just win, or your crosser. As you see that crosser, really nice job of being able to beat man coverage. And then if they have the flat defender, and then let's say they user the crosser, now they're going to be in a position where obviously your backside return route becomes a great check down read on this play. So you see here, just kind of be patient with this route, but normally that return route will do a little bit better job than even it did right there. This is where smash return is slightly better because the return route is slightly better against man coverage. It just kind of depends a little bit on the different things that they're doing. But in general, you have, you know, that clear out, you have that little drag, that crosser, and then you're kind of working backside to hit, you know, that little backside return route against man coverage. For the next setup of motion PA cross switch, this is going to be a combination. It's going to do a really good job of attacking horizontally, but it's also going to pose some big play potential to be able to bomb a potential cover two defense. So as I talked about with cover two is really popular. The mid read is something you have to kind of be aware of. I'm going to show you how we're just going to be able to do a really good job against cover two with this play. So the setup for this play is we're going to streak our slot receiver. You can do one of two things. You can either put a flat on this outside receiver here, outside bunch receiver, or you could put a speed out. Either way, okay? We're going to put a zig on the tight end, and we're going to put a running back on a in route just like this. So essentially the reads on this play is we're always going to look at that out route and zig combination first. We're then going to get to that running back in over the middle, and then we have this kind of streak crosser combination. So essentially, if they are not playing hard flats, you're going to be able to hit either your out route or you're going to be able to hit your streak. Let me actually show you what's going to happen if they're not playing like 5-yard yellows. This zig, the streak's going to basically pull these yellows back. And then this little zig is going to be in a really nice spot for you to be able to hit it against pretty much every single zone defense in this game. That's why it's our kind of our top read on this play and really the purpose of the setup. Now, let's say, for example, that they call a cover 4 hard flat. If they were to call a cover 4 hard flat or something like that on that side, you're going to see that the hook curl is going to struggle to defend the tight end once he kind of gets outside of that hook curl. So you see how that hook curl, it'll defend him on the inside cut, but then there's that little window to throw him on the outside cut. And so this really puts them in a tough spot where they're going to have to probably user the zig a little bit and then kind of get back up to the crosser. If they're in a cover 2 and they're trying to do this, this is going to put them in a lot of conflict. And a lot of times you'll see here, this crosser actually will pull the mid read out. And then there's this little hole shot that you can actually hit this over the top against a cover 2 type of defense. So let me show you that one more time here. And we'll talk a little bit about why I think this is so good against a cover 2 coverage. So the reason that I love this play against cover 2, like I said, is because this cover 2 is really the main counter, right, to the zig. But when they run cover 2, they run the risk, and this is a stock mid-read with the matching principles and everything. See how the mid-read basically just completely falls away from him? Trevor Lawrence is honestly kind of struggling to make this throw, but if you have a little bit better quarterback, this is going to be a relatively easy throw to be able to be made. And again, you just want to basically pass lead this up into the inside. So you see how mid-read falls off, pass lead that straight up inside. And, you know, now you're dealing with the safety. Can the safety get there or not? Can the quarterback get the ball there or not as well? But there is this just like really unique window that you can hit against cover 2. And I'll show you why it's relevant. It's also really, you got to kind of wait on it a little bit more. I want to also explain one other thing. If you have time in the pocket and you can wait on this, the crosser can pull the deep half a little bit as well. So the crosser is going to pull the mid read, and then the crosser can also kind of pull the deep half depending on how they actually end up doing this. So you see here, I mean, let me just zone out. I'm just going to spy the D-line. I know that this isn't going to be like necessarily realistic, but it is something that you do have on this play if you have the time to be able to actually make the throw. I just want to show you how late in the play the deep half defender will actually give this up. So you'll see how right at the tail end of this, see how that deep half defender kind of stays to the sideline, and then this throw gets open over the top. Again, if they're shedding you, you're going to have to get the ball out. I understand that. But just so that you realize, you know, kind of what you have as a deep threat on this play as well, I do think it's really relevant. Normally, you're going to be throwing your crossing route, honestly. And if you get that perfect accuracy, see there, I could throw it on time. It's a really good way to pop cover 2 is all I'm trying to say. Another very popular coverage that you're going to play, if somebody is not, you know, somebody wants to call cover 2, but they don't want to get beat over the top, what they'll do is they'll actually turn this into a cover 3 like this. Now, the mid-read will normally not be on the field when they do that because they're going to need a backside flat defender. So it would look something like this. Well, the beauty of the alignment of the formation and kind of how everything kind of flows together here is that deep half is still going to expand. Those yellows will stay low, and now you have kind of this hole shot that you can hit this seam streak on. So the reason that I think it's relevant is it just makes it really hard for your opponent to play cover 2. That's the basic idea. Specifically cover 2 to the trip side, which a lot of people are going to want to play cover 2 to the trip side. They're going to want to play cover 2 to this quad side on the right. And so this just gives you kind of a nice little alley to be able to attack if they do that. We have some other plays that are also really good at beating cover two, but this one specifically, I think, does a really, really good job, specifically if they leave that mid read on the field. So that's going to basically force them into one of two things. They're either going to run cover three cloud like this, where they're going to be kind of defending in this way. If they do this, again, generally speaking, your little zig route to the tight end is going to get really nice separation. And then you also have this kind of running back as well. And if all the yellows go down like that, if they really snap down on the zig, then you can hit your crosser. The other thing that I like about this play is it's really, really good against man coverage. Your tight end is an unbumpable receiver, meaning that he's going to have a lot of success at being able to beat man. So on this little zig, you see I can just kind of check down at that tight end quick, take those easy yards. And then the other thing that I can do is be patient on this. If they decide that they want to go guard the running back or they want to go guard the tight end, then I'm going to be able to, simply just be patient. This crosser is really good at being able to be a consistent man-beating route in this play. And then, as I was talking about, like if they roll the coverage over, one of the coverages that you get a lot in this game is you will get a cover three that basically looks something like this right here. And when it looks like that, one of the best throws that you can actually make here is to take this running back and put him on this little baby in route, because they will struggle to defend this in both man and zone coverage. It's a great little check down to be able to have on this play. For this setup of motion PA cross switch, we are going to drag our tight end. We're going to Texas route our running back. We're going to streak our slot receiver, and then with this receiver here on the outside, we're just going to put him on a simple speed out like this. Now, the purpose of this play is this is going to be really, really consistent for us as a man-to-man beating play. It can beat zone as well, but what it's really designed for is it's designed to be able to give us some answers against man-to-man coverage. Really, you should have at least 3 routes. They're going to be very consistent for you against man-to-man. You have your drag route, your Texas route, and then your backside crosser coming over the middle. And then the out route is really more of a zone kind of thing. You can look at that quickly, but typically that's not going to be there for you. But really the money route against man coverage is going to be this crossing route over the middle of the screen, as you can see right here. The other element of this play is that's going to do a really good job of just attacking kind of the middle of the field in that high-low space that is so important to be able to attack when passing. Also, your drag is kind of like your first read, and you see that that is going to be a man-to-man killer as well. So you have that drag that's going to do a good job. They're going to have to put flats over there. They're going to have to probably use the crosser, and then that's going to leave this running back basically one-on-one. And this running back Texas route is going to be a really consistent option for you against man-to-man coverage. As you'll see here, when he cuts, he is just going to roast the man coverage defender. Now, hopefully your quarterback can actually make that throw, but in general, this is going to be a really, really open receiver. Let me see if I can show that to you one more time, and then we'll talk a little bit about this play in terms of what it can do in answers that you have against zone. So as you see, that running back Texas route just so consistent at being able to get man-to-man separation, which is kind of why we like to use this route. It's effectively like a slant post combination if you really think about how we're practically using the angle route more so like a slant. Now, as far as zone coverage potential here, a couple things that you can do. Number one, you can hit this seam streak against cover 2, even if they have their match coverage on. You'll see the mid read kind of dumb out. You can throw this up into the middle of the field, and as you see, it's able to pop cover 2 basically right up the middle for easy separation. The next thing that you can do against cover 2, it kind of depends a little bit on how they're playing their cover 2. But what happens a lot is people are going to be cloud flatting. And if they're cloud flatting, we just have a lot of answers on this play. The easiest one being this just simple, quick tight end drag as just an easy read for you to be able to hit against the Tampa 2. We'll show that one more time here, and then we'll talk about some of the other things that we can do on this play, some of the other answers we have. But really, I love this tight end drag, just simple, quick read. And I know it's only a couple yards, but breaking tackles in this game is crazy. You're going to be able to turn those into easy yardage. What that then is going to force them to do is it's going to force them to hard flat out of a cover 4, for example. And then what we're going to be able to do here is really work this crosser kind of in this little soft spot of the zone, as you see right there. And then what a lot of people like to do on defense is they're going to play that kind of shaded down cover three, cover four type of deal. But then what they're going to basically do here is effectively they're going to go guard the crossing route themselves on this left hand side. And so what that allows is you'll see there's a ton of space on this play to be able to actually playmaker the running back Texas route. So we're just going to playmaker that route up, or you can just throw it to the sideline like that. As you see, it just kind of does a really good job of getting into a soft spot. And then, like I said, if they're going to be using the crossing route on this play, then you're also going to be in a good spot, because you'll see here, if I playmaker this route up, it kind of just replaces that space where the user vacated, and now you just kind of have another answer within your play. We talked also about how this is going to do a really good job of not only popping cover two, but it's also going to do a really good job of popping any kind of like cover three cloud or cover six type of looks that they might have. So if you take a look here, if they're playing kind of that cover three cloud, you'll see that seam streak is just going to split that cover three cloud for a big play over the top. And then let's say that they're running, more of like a cover six look. If they're running a cover six look like this, where they have quarter zones, then this is also going to kind of have that same basic effect here. You're going to see that, yes, the deep half will pinch in a little bit, but that quarter zone is going to really struggle to help in the middle of the field. And so as you can see, you can kind of throw this in that soft spot against the coverage. Not only does this play have man-to-man answers, but it just has a ton of different ways in which you can use this to attack zone coverage, making it, I think, one of the most versatile plays in this game. You're also able to, if they're not hard flatting on the right side, you're always able to kind of hit that quick out route if they're giving you that against a curl flat. Let me show you a little bit better of an example of that here. I'm just going to use a basic curl flat, but typically what you're going to see here is that this little speed out is going to be a good route for you if they're not hard flatting. The other thing about this is, if you want, because of some of the things they've done in this game, you can feel free to put a zig, you can put a regular flat. Those are also perfectly fine, and they just do a good job of clearing out space for you to be able to work kind of this middle of the field concept out of the trio close. The next setup of motion PA cross switch, what we're going to be doing is we're actually going to be stemming this in route all the way up. And we're going to basically be turning this into a streak. So as you can see here, if I just simply stem this in route all the way up, you're going to see that this turns this into basically a cheat motion wheel, very similar to the one out of like motion mesh rail, for example. Then what you're going to do is you're going to streak your ISO receiver. You're going to drag, you're going to post your tight end. You're going to drag your slot receiver, and then you're going to streak your running back. So this is what the play looks like. Now, as far as why this play is so good, is because they basically can't really run cover two to the left side, because if they run cover two to the left side, pretty much regardless of how they run it, this cheat motion route is going to basically get wide open. So you're going to see that that's kind of our first read. We're always kind of looking over here to see if we can hit this. And as you see here, if we get a good rat catch, this is a big play against any kind of cover two coverage over there on the right-hand side. Now, one of the other types of cover two coverages that I wanted to quickly cover is if they soft squat this outside corner here, you're going to see a couple of things with this play. Number one, a lot of times the drag can actually kind of mess up the soft squat. And then if the drag doesn't mess up the soft squat, obviously the drag will be wide open. So we'll just take a look at this and see kind of how this plays. But as you see how that soft squat goes down, and then you have that window to be able to hit that. So the drag is going to essentially influence that soft squat, and you're going to then be able to hit your cheat motion route. So again, like I said, pretty much any type of cover two over here to the side is going to get a lot of issues. And so, and that also includes like roll coverage, which you would still be able to hit this in that window, but you'll see here, boom. And if you get the perfect timing and the perfect pass lead, you're going to get a one-play touchdown against cover two. So it's a great play for attacking kind of that left side. It's also a great play for potentially being able to pop cover two for a one-play score. The other things about this play, as far as it goes with cover two, is this seam streak to your ISO receiver here. Typically, what's going to happen against cover two is this backside running back streak and post will actually influence the mid read defender. And so there'll be this little window late in the play where you can potentially hit this once he kind of clears the mid read, as you see right there. It's kind of a tighter window. It does depend a little bit on their switch stick. But let's say that you're playing somebody and they run a cover two and then they switch stick to that sideline route. This would be something you would want to look for. The other reason why I like to look for this is in the case of them potentially trying to run a cover three cloud, because this outside third will do a pretty decent job of being able to roll over the top of this route. However, this is going to leave a wide open seam streak up the middle. So you're going to see here that when I look out here, I might say, oh, that's clearly, an outside third. And then this route, right, gets up the middle for a big play as well. Now you can still hit the cheat motion route as well, but you see how we're able to have multiple answers for multiple different coverages, basically forcing them into a cover four. And so when they do want to run a cover four, the best way for them to run that cover four is going to be to basically have a curl flat on the field. But if they have a curl flat on the field, it's going to leave the drag open. But essentially, if they're playing like cover four hard flat or traditional cover four, this cheat motion play, you're going to throw this with just an outside pass lead. A lot of times you can catch that if they don't switch sticks. What generally is going to occur is when they see a cheat motion, they're just going to switch stick over there. And if they are switch sticking over there, then we want to quickly get to our other progressions in the play, which are going to be this backside high-low, and then obviously the running back. So if they do switch stick over there or they're not playing hard flats and you see that, you're just going to want to throw your little slot receiver on this drag route. This you could also run kind of an alternate setup where you're dragging the tight end as well. Kind of just depends on, situationally what you want to do. But generally speaking, this slot receiver on the drag will get underneath of stuff. And then I actually forgot to cancel the play action here. But essentially here, if that's not there, then your tight end post, as you see, is going to get open over the top. I'll show that one more time. So if they play, shaded down coverage, then this tight end post is going to get open. And then also you have kind of this backside route to your running back. So, you'll see here, if the user kind of sits down on this and then maybe goes to the running back, then you're going to be hitting that tight end in this little pocket. As you can see, super, super powerful route. And then, let's say that they, do play, good defense on that. And let's say that the user decides that he's going to actually take the tight end up the vertical on that post route. Then what you're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to work this backside running back streak. Backside running back streak is really good, especially if they're running any kind of cover two to the right side. But effectively here, you're going to see that once everything clears out, if we don't get crazy shedded, I don't know how I'm getting like crazy shedded when I'm containing, but shout out to practice mode sheds with defensive tackles because they're going crazy. Let's just show you this one more time. And basically what you'll see here again is obviously you can look to the left side, but assuming they may switch stick over there or whatever, then late in this play, you're going to be able to hopefully not overthrow a wide open receiver, but this running back will get into normally a pretty soft spot. And again, this also is really good if they're, running any kind of like cover two over there on that trip side. A lot of people like to run cover two to that side, and this just really breaks down the zone well. Obviously with man coverage, you're going to have your cheat motion potentially, and then you're going to have your drag. And yeah, you see he's wide open. Show you it real quick against cover two man. This is one of my go-to plays for cover two man. Sometimes this cheat motion route will get open. Sometimes it won't. You need to kind of look at it. If it has a step, then throw it. If it doesn't, you need to get off of that read. It's one of those things where sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It just kind of depends on a lot of factors. But you see like right there, it's not open, so we need to check down to our drag or our tight end post underneath. This next setup of the play motion PA cross switch is what I call the Durham setup. This is just a good Madden concept. It's been good for several years now, and it's still really good in this game. So the way that we're going to set this play up is we're going to slot fade the ISO or solo receiver We're going to drag our tight end. We're going to crosser our slot receiver. We're going to streak our running back, and we're going to flat this this right side guy. If you want to put him on an out route, you can, but I like the flat. I just think it gets this passing window open a little bit better. If it's man coverage, obviously the out route will be a little bit better. So anyways, as far as how we like to run and read the play across the formation here, essentially we're going to look at this high-low on the left side first. So our slot fade is like our clear out route. Our drag is kind of our low read, and then our crosser is our high read. So always looking at this kind of slot fade to drag first and then the crosser late. So slot fade not there, but you see that drag gets open, and that's gonna, again, just force them to have to bring those yellow zones down, play hard flat coverage and all of that. And so then if they do play hard flat coverage or a shaded down any kind of zone, this applies to cover 3, cover 2, and cover 4, really regardless of what they decide to do here. What you're going to be able to see is they kind of bite down really hard, and then you're going to have that crosser kind of wrapping behind that post or that wrapping behind that route combination. So now what they basically have to do is they're going to be in a situation where they might have to, take their user out of the middle of the field, or they might play like a cover 2 type of look or something. And basically then what you're going to be able to do is if the user, the crosser, or they kind of go to the left side, then on the back side here, you're going to have this running back. If you wanted to, kind of a variation is to slot fade this outside guy as well. But in general, what's basically going to happen is that running back is going to kind of get in a soft spot between the deep blue zones and the yellows. We'll show that one more time here. And then again, we'll put a cloud over here on the left side. Another thing too is if they're like doing the shaded down yellows, but they're still putting in that cloud flat, the tight end will be open late in this play. So I'll show you that real quick. Actually, I'll show the running back throw here. But you see how that running back throw can kind of really be a great little alternate throw. Another thing with this is, let's say that they're playing like a shaded down, let's say they're playing like a shaded down cover 4, but they're going to use her right here. And so when they use her right here, they're going to actually take the crosser. Happens a lot with the way that people like to play their coverages. Then one of the answers that you have here is if they vacate that middle of the field themselves, then as you see, that running back can be thrown a little bit earlier in the progression. As far as how this play works against man-to-man, this is a really good play against man-to-man. We have a couple different answers here. We have, again, if you know it's a man, you could put a little speed out here. But generally, I'm just going to be putting this flat. And essentially here, you're going to have your crosser. You're going to have your tight end drag. Those are both answers that you have. Typically, when they run man-to-man, show that one more time here. And we'll talk a little bit about the drag. You also have that slot fade. Sometimes he can get crazy separation, but that drag is normally going to be one of those routes that you want to be able to hit consistently against man, just because it's a quick hitter. It gets open quick. It's going to do a good job against the blitz. It kind of forces them into having a hard flat out of a man coverage look. And so when they hard flat, that's where this crosser just gets wide open. And this is just one of the better routes in the game this year for attacking man coverage. To play smash return out of the wild trio close formation, it's one of the most effective man-beating plays in the entire game. The reason why is because it has kind of a unique C route here to the slot receiver. So the setup for the play is we're going to stem this C route all the way down. We're going to slant the tight end, and then we're going to either, it's kind of up to you. You could either swing route the running back if you want him to get a little bit lower against zone coverage, or if you want him to be a little bit better against man, you could put him on an in route. As far as what this coverage is, or what this play is designed to do, it's designed to beat man coverage primarily, because what you're going to see here is this slot receiver on this little C route. Oftentimes we'll get that separation. If he doesn't, the stock return route in the play is a little bit better than the hot routed return route. The only real reason why the slot receiver wouldn't get position is if he gets bumped, which does happen a little bit in this game. But for the most part, people like to play their man coverage with a shade to the inside. And so because they're shading to the inside, a lot of times that'll make this even better. But we'll see if we can get this C route open. You see there how he kind of whoops him. And then, if they're in cover 0, they don't have safety help over the top. cover one or cover zero, really, that's going to be, that's going to be a touchdown. Now, what about like press man to man situations? I will say that this is not as good in press man to man situations, but you do have a lot of other answers on this play in terms of how do you, go about beating press man to man. First one, most your tight end, your running back. Those are really the best ways to beat press man. But also this little in route, super good. It gets a kind of an inside release. So it's just a really, really good play to be able to attack man to man. So you just have a lot of answers against man coverage. And in this year's game, right, a lot of people are, using more and more man coverage as the year goes on, just because zone has so many problems. But anyway, you got that return route. See how consistent that return route has gotten open. And then as far as like, other things that you have against man, let's say the user the right side or whatever, then you can kind of work this backside to the left side. You'll see here a lot of times this tight end slant. See, eventually he'll just get that separation over the middle, and you're going to be able to hit that. And then again, zone coverage, what you're able to do here is essentially create multiple different types of high-low reads. So if you run this play through here, you'll see that running back in route does a nice job. If they don't play a hard flat coverage or something, that running back in route will be there for you. If they do play hard flat coverage, then typically the tight end will get pretty decent separation on this play. So you'll see the flat kind of snaps to the running back, and then that slant can be thrown underneath of that outside quarter defender. And, you just give yourself, again, another answer for different zones that they might be doing. If they run like a cover two here, you're going to be in a pretty decent spot because those yellow zones, right? A lot of times that running back just going to do a really nice job of being able to attack that left side flat area. And then we'll go back to man coverage here for a little bit and just kind of showcase some of the aspects as to why this is really good against man. So one of the reasons why I think this is really good against man coverage is because if they put this like hard flat defender here, then that will take the running back, but the tight end will be open across the face of the user. And then also you still have the C route as a potential option. You still have the return route as a potential option, and you have the backside in route late. So kind of just depending on how the user the play right there, randomly everything got caged except the in route. That kind of happens in man coverage, I'll be honest, because for whatever reason, man coverage, like I said, is a lot more random than zone, in my opinion. And so you just want to make sure that you are having, as many man beating opportunities for your routes as you possibly can. That's why I prefer the running back in route, because you'll see here, this running back in route actually will cross the face of the linebacker and normally do a pretty good job of, giving you separation against man coverage here. Actually pass commit here. And we'll go ahead and show the C route one more time, hopefully. So again, you see if that C route gets that nice release, it's going to be money against man coverage. And the only thing I was going to talk about is kind of the high-low in the middle of the field with the user. So kind of depends on if they're putting their hooks on 5 or not. If they're not putting their hooks on 5, then the main read here is going to be this return route underneath. As you see, the C route kind of pulls the yellow zone back, and then that gets open. And then if they are putting their hooks on 5 or they're playing a little bit more underneath with their user, a couple different things you can do. First thing is you can work the high-low on the left side and try to hit that slant. But really the main read is, kind of this high point in the middle of the field over the top of the yellow zones to the in route. As far as the run game is concerned in the WAV Trio close formation, there's really 2 runs that I think are top tier, maybe 3 if you want to put one in that category. I'll put the runs and the audibles here. This pin pull toss really good, 0-1 trap really good, outside zone really, really good. And then this kind of counter, we'll take a look at this. They do have quite a bit of ways to run the ball from this formation. And we'll start out with this motion inside zone. I will say I've tried to get this boomerang to work a lot. I just haven't had a lot of success with this play. So just keep that in mind. It's not one of those, like if you find success with it, great. But it's just not one of those things that I really feel like is necessary for this scheme. But motion inside zone is kind of cool because it keeps that same motion. And so he's just going to run across the formation. And, you're going to basically be set up to be able to just, run inside zone. That one is cool just because it keeps the same motion, keeps the same look. You can do some fake hot routes around it, and that, that's cool. But another thing that I like about this offense is this 0-1 trap is really good. You'll see here, you just get normally really good blocking. It's kind of similar to a duo run. You can kind of run it inside and outside depending on what the defense is doing. So I'll show you this against some other defenses, but essentially here, you see how it's just really good. It's hard to shoot zero and trap runs, and it's just one of those runs that you have access to. As far as the outside zone, it's kind of like an off tackle, and you'll see you'll get that nice offset handoff. Pretty nice run play. The one thing I will say also, as far as like the Y off trio close, you don't necessarily need to have the running back on the side of the quarterback. The main reason that you would do that if this was not an offset formation, the pin pull toss is like big hit. It's like a big hitter run, or it's terrible. There's really no in between. What you're really looking for is kind of an obvious look to run it where you have a numbers advantage, but this thing can either really hit for several yards, or it can get blown up in the backfield, and that's kind of up to you to read that. What you're really looking for is like this four down lineman set like this, or any kind of compressed defense where you can kind of pin them inside, like a double mug, for example. This would do a decent job against that. So let me see if I can actually go to a double mug. We'll do this right here. But essentially, like, if we just recreate double mug where the linebackers are pinching in like this, your D lineman is a little wider, but in general, this would be a decent look for this because what you're really looking for is the tight end being able to pin that D lineman. Sometimes he'll do that though, and that's kind of the risk reward of that play. So you're kind of looking for that. If you get a set like this, like an odd set, you'll see here that still does decent. And if he can break it outside, he can break it outside. Again, this is a big hit route. It's a high risk, high reward run play, in my opinion. You'll see here against like a man coverage, get the guys outside, not too bad. As far as the untargeting feature in this little deal, I would untarget, kind of the weak side D end or something like that, and that just kind of helps with blocking the user and all that stuff. See, this would be a pretty decent look for pin pull toss, and then I'd probably like untarget. I don't know who I would untarget here. Maybe like just this backside guard. Just do some untargeting here, and a lot of times it can just make or break your runs. And you always want to run the ball to keep the offense or the defensive player off balance. I think zero and trap is amazing when there's three down lineman sets like that. I think zero and trap is the best run in my opinion. Outside zone is not bad either though. As you see, you get pretty good blocking. If he holds that block, we're gonna get out of there and have some success. So outside zone, definitely a run that not a bad run to have at all. It's hard to shoot outside zone, and it's hard to shoot all three of these runs in the same deal. I haven't shown this other run that I wanted to talk about real quick, and that is the counter Y. So you see, this is kind of like a long handoff. It's kind of almost like a pistol type run. It's a long developing run. It's something that would be good like against like a super backed off defense, like a 3-3-5 or a dollar. This would do fine against. But when you get like aggressive linebackers up at the gaps and things like that, this run will get blown up in the backfield. Okay. But this is kind of one of those pin pull toss type runs where it's like sometimes it really hits, sometimes it really doesn't hit. But against formation like this, I would say this would be somewhat ideal to run that on. You just got to kind of make the right read there. Talking about cut outside formation like this, to me, it's hard to run on this. Of course, we're gonna have more success on this one. But like a super aggressive defense, I wouldn't run counter on. I would run Owen trap. I think Owen trap is best run for these super aggressive defenses. It's just the most consistent run in the formation. Red zone variation of motion PA cross switch, kind of a fun little play. If you want to run trio down here in the red zone, this is a pretty good way to run it. So bear with me here a little bit. This throw is going to take some getting used to, but essentially all you're going to do is you're going to zig the solo receiver. You're going to in route the tight end and stem him to the back of the end zone like this. You're then going to streak your running back, and you're going to flat route your slot receiver. So it looks like this. Now, as far as read progression on this play, what you're really looking for is you're looking for the cheat motion first. Then you're going to get down to the zig route. Normally, if they're in a cover two, your cheat motion will be open. And then if they switch stick over there, then you're going to work the high-low on the backside. So anyway, what we're looking for from this cheat motion is you're going to kind of want to high point this in the back corner. See how we kind of high point that into the back corner? And it is kind of important that you work on this throw a little bit, because this throw, that was a cloud flat, by the way. This throw will really mess some people up. I'm just telling you right now, because what a lot of people are going to do is they're just going to play cover two in the red zone, or they're going to play shade down man. Those are kind of the two things you're going to see. typically. And you'll see here, I mean, if I just high point this, as long as I get good accuracy, it puts the ball where only my receiver can catch it. If you do not high point it, which I'm going to show you right here, if you do not, and the way you high point it is you hold left trigger, but if you, or not left trigger, L1. But if you do not high point this pass, there's definitely some problems. So you'll see here, for whatever reason, kind of the way the route runs, he kind of like see how you can get played. For whatever reason, it's like the trajectory of the ball. So you want to high point this pass. If you high point this pass, you're pretty much you're very rarely ever going to get played when you high point this. In my opinion, I've yet to see it get played when I high point it, and also your you are a little bit more risky in terms of like an overthrow, but you know if because that can happen right there, but what's great about it is they literally can't play cover two because that's a cloud flat. I'll be show you a hard flat. A hard flat's even more open, but I just thought this was kind of a cool little play in terms of how to attack cover two down here in the red zone. This definitely is an answer for you. So you'll see here if this is a hard flat, now it's even more open. You see, you kind of get that nice animation in the back of the end zone. Now what's going to happen is they're going to do this. So their kind of counter to that is going to be to take the safeties and put them in curl flats. Basically, that's kind of the standard thing is you'll play like picket fence defense, and then you'll have those safeties go into those deeper area of the fields. I'll talk a little bit about the zig in just a minute, but what I want to show you here first is this kind of adjustment on a cover two. So if they do purple that side, you'll see here that you see how it's obvious, like they just run out there and they stop it. So if you see they run out there like that and they try to stop the route, the best part about this play is this is technically not a streak, it's an in route, right? And so what you're going to get here is this in route will basically run just like the tight end. So typically what will happen is they'll use the tight end, and they're going to expect this to just be a cheap motion route. They're not going to expect it to cut, but it actually has a cut in it. So if you have time, you see he cuts inside of that curl flat, and that's a nice little area of the field to be able to attack in the red zone very, very consistently. So what then that basically is going to do is it's going to change the dynamic in terms of how they play. For example, they might soft squat this guy. There's a lot of things they could do. Ultimately, I will say the zig is primarily not the main read if they're in cover two. If they're in any other defense, the zig is the best read because the yellows are going to really struggle to guard it, and I'll talk about that. But what you'll see here, here's a cover two with a soft squat. You see you can hit that. If that soft squat matches like that, you can kind of hit that. So you're kind of looking at that high-low right there. But if they do run like a cover four or cover three or something where there's hook curls in the middle of the field, this thing is money, and they're going to have to switch stick it. And if they switch stick over there to that side, then your tight end route's going to be wide open. But take a look here. This is a cover four hard flat. And you're going to see here that this guy gets, kind of wide open in this little spot here. So anyway, you have the zig. You just have a lot of answers. Now, what about man coverage? I will say I think one of the weaknesses of this play is like a shade down man coverage with a good user, because the user can kind of sit in the middle of the field. There's not a whole lot you can do, but there are other variations of the play that we'll talk about. But I'll show you the play real quick against man. So you see here the running back streak, and that really your main answers against man is if your zig wins, which that can happen, but really your main answer is that tight end route. And so the problem with that is that just gives them, basically one player to have to user in a man-to-man coverage situation because they're able to put the flats there. It's just too easy. So we'll have some other setups that actually take advantage if they're in more of a man-to-man base. But what I love about this play is I just think this play gives you a really, really good answer if they're in zone. Another thing about if they're in zone here, you have to realize the user is going to have to user the tight end. So if the user goes to the tight end, then what typically will happen on this play is your running back will be open late. So you'll see, or like kind of right in that little pocket right there. So anyways, really, really nice little red zone play. It gives you a lot of answers against a lot of the main things you're going to see down in the red zone. Motion PA cross switch. This is a red zone setup that is really good against man-to-man. So if they're running that type of man coverage stuff where they're shading down, obviously you're going to kind of like have an idea right? That they're going to do that, because if they're pressing up like this and they're shading, and you can kind of see it if they're in man or zone normally. So this is, how do you beat shade down man in the red zone? So a couple things real quick. First and foremost, we'll just show this real quick. So what you'll see with this play is this crosser to the square receiver. You see how he hits the back of the end zone, and then he just basically continues to run all the way across the format, all the way across essentially. So we're going to basically build around that. So what I like to do when I'm playing man coverage is, you have to realize like the user is going to be this kind of middle of the field defender here in the middle. And then essentially it's like this. It's going to look just like this. And they're going to shade inside underneath. Well, what I like to do in terms of this play against man coverage is, again, I just like to give myself multiple answers. So I think the easiest thing to do here is to make it look exactly the same as the last play. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to take the slot receiver here. We're going to put him on a speed out and stem him all the way down. We're then going to put the tight end on a drag, and we're going to put the running back on a Texas, so it looks just like this. We're going to keep this cheap motion. Main reason is it's going to serve us as kind of like a late read on the play, and it's going to pull that guy out. So what it does is it really isolates that side, and then normally the crosser is going to be available, or the running back. So it kind of depends a little bit on how they user it, honestly. Like if it just depends a lot on how they user it. So, who do they basically guard is kind of the main question. The other thing with this is, if you don't want to drag the tight end, feel free to slant him as well. That's another variation of this. But essentially, and I don't think you even necessarily have to stem down the speed out. But what happens a lot here is, you're really working this kind of quick throw to the tight end right in that little pocket right there. And you obviously, tight windows in the red zone, but typically you'll be able to catch that, and that'll be a quick touchdown for you. I'll show it to you one more time. But your first read is always going to be this tight end, and then you're going to get to the speed out. So you'll see you get this auto motion. It's not even really a read, especially if he follows like that in man. What we're really looking for is that throw right in that little alleyway right there, and essentially hoping we can, kind of break a tackle or carry the guy into the end zone. It's kind of the main thing. And then as far as the other part of this, the speed out is going to pull the flat out so that this crosser can essentially get open in the back of the end zone. So they're typically going to use the running back. If they don't use the running back will be open, as you see right there. Like, if they don't use the running back is going to be available to you over the middle of the field. So because of that, they typically will use the running back. And then we just need this crosser to basically get separation a little bit more than he is currently. But normally this crosser will get you really good separation. If you want to just flat the guy, you can flat the guy. You don't have to speed out him. If you know they're hard flatting, if you flat him, he'll pull the flat out a lot faster. And yeah, I don't know why our crosser is not crossing very, very well. But normally that crosser will get separation against man. Let's see if we can get it for you one more time here. And if you don't want to do that, you could honestly just put him on a regular, like you could do the tight end apprentice crosser like this. And then what I would do on in terms of the route combo is I would have a return route like that. And then essentially I would actually do like a running back corner route. If this was all out, if I knew it was like shade down man like this another variation of the same thing. But essentially it's just getting these crossers because you see how that running back corner gets in that soft spot. That's, again, this is specific for man. If they're running zone, if they're running a lot of zone down here, I don't think that this is the best. But if they're running man coverage, then this is definitely an answer. Anyway, I want to see if I can get the crosser open, though. The crosser is one of my main routes that I go to down here. Surprised he's not getting better separation. But normally he'll just get this like quick cut right there. And you see that's what normally happens with this play. What a lot of people will also do is they'll do like shade down man out of like cover zero, but they won't press. They'll still keep a little bit of zone. It'll keep a little bit of a zone disguise. This play kills that. You're not going to have any issues if they do that. So you see the auto motion, the drag, the Texas, and of course my crosser's being really weird. My crosser's being so weird. I think it's essentially if that crosser gets pressed, it's basically just a beat press rating issue. It's not really like the route itself is fine. It's for whatever reason, Rasheed Rice is just getting pressed into the dirt. So anyway, bottom line is normally he will be open. And then again, like they're still gonna have to stop the drag, the running back, but normally that right there is what you see from that receiver against man coverage. Again, this is not a zone play. If they do catch you off guard and they do run zone, and they do happen to run zone here, you're still going to have a couple of answers. So if they do run like cover two, you still have that same thing here where you'll see that you can throw this on a cloud, as you see right there. So if they run cover two, like they're cooked. They cannot run cover two. Okay. The other thing is, let's say they run like cover four, shade down hard flat, or something like that. Well, this is not ideal against that, but you do have some answers. And the main answer you have here is, going to be kind of like throwing the running back open through the zones right in that little area, or the crosser if they try to switch stick to the running back. Well, hey, I want to thank you for watching the video. Again, if you want to take your Madden or college football game to the next level, I want to encourage you to check out our school community. It's only $10. It gets you access to every single thing that I know about Madden and college football in full ebook format, schemes, everything you need to win more games in Madden and college football. If you want to sign up for that, the link is in the description down below.